Hi and welcome to Geeks for Geeks. Today we would be discussing yesterday's problem of the day, that is a difference of values and indices. So before that, let me just tell you a thing. So just let me share this tab. Yes. So I want to tell you about the winter interview preparation. So, in this course, you would be getting two sessions each day. The first session was on 18th, the second session was on 19th, and the third session was on 20th, which was yesterday. The first session is on YouTube, or we can say that it is available publicly, and the next session, that is the session 2 of each day, would be private in a Zoom. So you should enroll in this course because of the two main reasons. First, you would be getting the exclusive access to Zoom class. Then the very next thing is, towards the last date, that is 24th, we have also Ask Me Anything session with Sandeep Jan itself. So I hope everyone. Hi Rishit, how are you? So I think we are good to go. Now let me unshare this. Okay. Sorry, I went, the Wi-Fi went down. I don't know why, but still it's active. Okay, so I connected to the mobile data. Okay, did the video freeze? Yeah, I think the video did freeze few minutes back. Now is the video quality good? Rishit, can you quickly confirm? And others, can you quickly confirm, is the video quality now good? Okay, so I think we are good to go and we can move forward with this. Okay, thanks a lot. Okay, so I think we are good to go. Yeah. So this is the question. The question is very interesting. So in this question, we are given an unsorted array. Okay. That means that it is not promised that the array would always be sorted. Then the very next thing is that it is told that the array has a size of n itself, and then you need to find the maximum difference of absolute values. Now before we move forward, let us first understand the absolute value of an element. The absolute value of an element means that the weightage of the element in general. That means it is not negative, it is not non-negative. That means the answer would always be non-negative. Suppose we have -3. If we do a absolute value of it, this is how we represent absolute values. The value would be 3. If we have just 3, then the weightage of the number is always 3. And if we have 0, then it would be 0 only. So basically we won't have negative values. The answer would always be non-negative. That means 0 or greater than 0. Okay. Now let us go back to this. So we are told that we need to find the difference of the indices. That means I would always be less than j, and this value. This value means that the absolute value of a of I minus a of j, and we would add I minus j and the absolute value of it. So let us see how we are getting this output. Suppose we have just 1. So 1 can be paired up with the value 3. So this value, the indices would be 0, 1 and 2. Okay. So the indices does not matter here because the difference would always be same. What do you mean by indices does not matter? I would like to say that the indices means the okay. Am I clearly audible as visible? Okay, I'm clearly audible as well as visible. I think my Wi-Fi is up now, so I would just quickly do a transition of this. Okay, my Wi-Fi is up and running. Okay, so basically we are told that the one indexing, there are two types of indexing, one based indexing and zero based indexing. Zero based indexing means that the indexing would start from zero, and one based indexing means that the indexing would start from one itself. Okay, do I make sense? Now the very next thing is that, so we have 0 1 2. Okay, we have 0 1 and 2. So now the first one can be mixed up with the next three, and the absolute value would be this, and the added value would be 0 mm, minus 1. 1 can be mixed with 1 minus 1. Okay, and the value would be 0 minus 2. Okay, now 3 can be mixed up with minus 1 only. So minus 1, and the value would be 1 minus 2. 1 minus 2, and the last value can't be mixed up. So we can say that the value from this would be 1 minus 2 is equal to minus 2. The absolute value would be 2 plus 1, that is 3. So 1 plus 1, okay, like minus minus plus. Okay, so 1 plus 1 would be 2 plus 2, that is 4. Okay, then the next value would be 1 plus 3. Okay, because negative negative positive, so 3 plus 1 4 plus 1. Why? Because 1 minus 2 is equal to minus 1, and the absolute value would be 1. That means the value would be 5 itself. This is how the maximum value that we have encountered up till now is 5. So the answer is 5. In the same manner, you can take out the difference by this. Here, the difference is 9 minus 2, 1 minus 2, and then this is 8 itself. Okay, so I hope, am I clear with the sample inputs and all? Just give me a quick one in the chat if I'm clear with the sample inputs. Just give me a quick one if I'm clear with the sample test cases. Okay. Okay, so the number of live viewers are 10, but I think there is some issue with it. Okay, Rishit is there. Thanks a lot, Rishit. Okay, we can move forward. Now, the very next thing is that the very first approach we can think of is that we can try all possible ways, and the maximum of that would be our answer. Okay, so basically, what we can do is do as said. Okay, do as said, and if we do as said, and the maximum would be our answer. So do as said simply means that this is the brute force approach. So basically how we are doing it, suppose we have a1, a2, a3, a4 and a5. Okay, so for one value we can run a loop from I plus 1 to the end itself. Okay, so for one values we are going till the end, for the next value we are going till the end. So for one value we are doing n minus 1 operation, and so approx n operation. Okay, so for multiplying n on both side would be n square operation. And as you know, mathematical operation, that is addition, subtraction, and multiplication and division, take constant time, so n square operation is needed. So the number of elements are till 10 to the power 5. So let me just see 10 to the power 5 or not. Yes, 5 into 10 to the power 5. So it is 5 multiplied by 10 to the power 5. If we do a square root of it, it would be 25 into 10 to the power 10, which would be 2.5 into 10 to the power 11, which is much greater than 10 to the power 8. So you would definitely get a time limit exceeded. If the last thing that was discussed, that this thing is going above your head, then you can just think of that the expected time complexity is big O of n, and you are doing that in n square. This is the expected time complexity. Okay, so now we need to think of something better. Okay, to think of something better, I would just give you an idea of it. Whenever you receive these kind of question, you are given an equation. Whenever you are given an equation, try to simplify that equation. Okay, most of the time write it down in a pen and paper and see how can we simplify that equation. Now it is said that we need the value of a of I minus a of j. Okay, this is what is given. A of I minus a of j added to added to absolute value of I minus j, and the condition is that I is less than equal to j. I is less than equal to the j itself. Okay, so now we move forward and we try to simplify it. Okay, so to simplify it, the very first thing that you need to understand is, if I is less than j, then the absolute value of this would be nothing but j minus I, and you can write it directly, because you know that if we want, so I is less than j, that means suppose I is 3, I minus 5, so it would be 2 minus negative 2 and the value would be 2. So we can simply write 5 minus 3 instead of this. So we can remove this modulo thing. Okay, like we can remove this absolute thing and we can get the same result by doing the opposite. Like we already know na, key subtracting the smaller value from a larger value would always bring a positive result, and the main goal of absolute value is that the answer should always be non-negative. Okay, so we already know that if the number is less than equal to, that means this big number minus small number is definitely positive or non-zero. Okay, this is the very first thing that you need to understand. Any comments are here? Okay, so this is the very first thing. Now we need to go at that position. So now here we can have two conditions. Okay, like just try to think either. So we saw at this point, this side, we if we knew I is less than equal to j. So what are the conditions? The conditions are, if a of I is greater than a of j, and the next condition is if a of I is equal to a of j, and the next condition is if a of I is less than equal to a of j itself. These are the three conditions that you need to understand. So let us try first for the first condition. Let us handle these all conditions separately. If we handle the first condition, then we can say that the value of a of I minus a of j, if we know that a of I is greater than a of j, then this would be like this: a of I subtracted to the value of a of j itself. Okay, and this would be this value. Like we know, if a of I is greater, then greater minus smaller would definitely give me a positive or a non-negative value. Okay, so same, we can just mug it up here itself. So we don't need a separate condition like I is less than equal to j. Here also this one, same kind of thing. Okay, like I is greater than equal to a of j, so the value would definitely be like this. Okay, so we don't need a separate condition like this. We can just add equals here. Okay, so now, so we would handle this condition afterwards. Okay, let us first handle this condition only. Okay, so first let me copy this to the next page. Okay, so now let us first solve this. So to have this, we can say that a of I subtract a of j. Okay, and then j, because outside is positive, and minus I. So we can say that a of I minus I minus a of j plus j. Okay, then if we keep the this and a of j negative j, then this can be understood like this. So we can see that basically we just need the current element and the current index, the difference of the current element and the current index, and the difference of the current element and the current index. So if we want to maximize this value, okay, if we want to maximize this value, suppose we have here a minus b and we want to maximize this value, then we need to lower down this value and we need to high up in this value. Like suppose if we have 100 minus 1, so we know that if we have the difference less, so if we want to create, like if we want the difference to be maximum, then the gap should be maximum. That means this side should be as high as possible and this side should be as low as possible, then only the difference would be large. Okay, so in the same manner we can say that we need a maximum value here, maximum value of this, and a minimum value of this. So basically this is the first condition. Just tell me quickly if I'm clear with this or not. This is the first condition where a of I is greater than equal to a of j. This is the very first condition. Just give me a quick one in the chat. Give me a quick one if you are able to understand. But if a of I is greater than a of j, then I mean, so it is told that the array is unsorted. It does not mean that if the element size is large and the value is so it is mentioned. This condition I am not mentioning by myself. I is less than equal to j. I have not mentioned it. It is mentioned here itself. If you just see the question closely, it is mentioned at this point only. So if we know that j would always be greater than equal to I, then we can simply subtract j minus I. Large value minus small value would definitely give me a positive value or not. This is what I want to convey, and this is a that is why large value minus small value. Am I clear, Devansh? Just give me a quick one. If a of I is greater than a of j, so a of I and a of j won't determine the value of j and I. Okay, I'm clear. Okay, so now let's see the next condition, how we can simplify it. Okay, so now the condition is that this value is small. Okay, okay, so now this value is a of I is small. Yes, a of I is small. We have done for the greater than large. Okay, so now always we know that j is greater than equal to I. So to have this value, we have j subtracted by I. And we would have this value because we are definitely know that j would be greater than I. Now we have this side. Okay, we have this side. If we have this side, we would have a of j subtract a of I this time. Like I would just say you see, whenever you want the absolute value, whenever you want the absolute value is nothing but large value minus small value. This is absolute value. Large value, we subtract it with the small value. Okay, and it would be done. This is absolute value. So if we know that a of j is greater than a of I, then large value minus small value. Just remember this. Whenever you are talking about absolute value, it just means that large value, we would subtract it a of I, that is small value. Okay, now we know this. So now we would open the brackets. Okay, outside is positive, so won't bother us. It is just like simplification that we have done in class 10th. Okay, so this would be a of j, and this would be just j, and minus this would be a of I minus I. So this one would be a of j added to j, and this one would be a of I added to I, and this would be this. So if we want this value negative to this value to be maximum, then we need to have this value, like I already said you, like a minus b. If we want to maximize this value, then this value should be large and this value should be small. So in the same manner, we need a maximum value here and a minimum value here, the same kind of thing. Okay, now this time am I clear or not? Just give me a quick one if I'm clear. Devansh, Konar, and Rishi, just give me a quick one if I'm clear. Just give me a quick one. Okay. Okay, fair enough. Thank you. Okay, so I would just quickly add it to the stream. Now, I would just need to find the values. So I would just iterate and find the corresponding values. I'm a very lazy person, so I would initialize with just A. Okay, then I would have mx1, okay, to store the first maximum. Okay, to store the maximum, we need the initialization with the minimum value. So int min. Okay, and then mn1, that is minimum one. To get the minimum value, we initialized with it with the maximum value. So int max. Okay, now we would have the next set of values, that is mx2, okay, is equals to int min, okay, and mn2 is equals to int max. Like to get the maximum value, we initialize with the minimum value, and to get the minimum value, we initialize with the maximum value. This is it. Now we would simply iterate and we would find the corresponding values. I is less than n and I plus plus. Okay. So the first set of values, what was it? mx1 is equals to max of mx. Okay. 1, and then it was what? Can you tell me? So we would just copy this. Yes. So max of mx1 and then a of I, okay, plus I. This was to be found. Okay, let's write the value for mx2 also. This would be minus I. Okay, this is the next one. Mx2 would be a of I minus I. So the first value was, see, this side maximum value is what? Can you tell me? Negative I. Okay, and this side maximum value is positive I. Okay, so positive, negative. First one positive maximum, next one is negative maximum. Minus I plus I. So in the same manner, the negative would also happen. That is mn of 1 is equals to minimum of mn1. I would just copy this. Okay, then a of I added to I itself. Okay, and then mn of 2 is equals to minimum of mn2 comma a of I plus 1 itself. Okay, my negative I itself. The first one would be added to negative I, the next one would be I. Okay, the same manner. So we have found all the values. So the answer would be nothing but the minimum of both the equation. So return the maximum of both the equation because we want the maximum value. So what we want, mx1, like mx1 minus mn1, and then mx2 minus mn2. Now let us just compare and see how many errors are we making. Okay, just wrote max at this point. I think we are good to go. Okay. Okay. We have the correct answer. So basically, this was just simplifying the equation, and implementation was on a very easy part. Okay, so I would just have the code base and let me know if you have any issues or not. So just let me present just the tab itself. So give me a quick one if I'm clear, or else mention the line number at which you are concerned about. Just give me a quick one if I'm clear, else give me a quick line number reference so that I can explain. I would wait for the next 30 seconds. Okay, sir, but sir, why? Okay, just see. But sir, why A? Okay, technical JT. Okay, A of I plus I minus will be answer only when A of sir A of I plus I. Why are we not checking that condition? We are not checking that condition because, see, we are not checking the condition because all the values are stored at this point. See, I would just say, okay, so we, if suppose, let's say, let's say that we check the opposite condition. Okay, like let's say a of I is less than a of j. Okay, so suppose a of I is less than a of j. So we need AI to be greater than AJ. So let's suppose AI is smaller than A of J. Let's suppose AI is equals to 3 and AJ is equals to 5. Okay, suppose. This is not the condition. Like suppose this is suppose there is a violation, still we are checking. Let's see. So if we do AI and age AI is less than AJ, then what would happen? It would happen that this difference part, that is A of I added to I, okay, A of I added to I, okay, and then A of J, A of J added to J, okay. So you can see that I would definitely be less than J. See, this I would definitely be less than J. So let's see. So you know that I would be less than J. So this one would be 3 added to I. 3 added to I. Okay. Now let's see. 3 added to I, and this would be 5 plus J. Now you know that I is less than J. You know this condition is always there. Okay. So if I is less than J, then let's take a small value like 3 plus I, let's take I2. Okay. Let's take I2 and J as 3. Okay. So 5 plus 3. So you can see what would happen is the value of this would always be negative. So it won't contribute to this maximum thing. Okay. That is why this would remain unaffected even if we don't check this condition. Obviously, if you apply this check, then also your answer is correct. But this check is not important. Like I can simply have a check over there if statement. The time complexity would also be same, and everything would be same because constants won't affect the big O time complexity. But the thing is that do we really need to check or not? We don't really need to check because that is already handled. So technical GTA, am I clear to you? Just give me a quick 1 or 0 in the chat. Like if I'm not clear, give me a 0. If I'm clear, give me a 1. Like first वाला आंसर हमेशा छोटा रहेगा नेक्स्ट वाले आंसर से. The first A of I plus I would definitely be smaller than the next value. So the value resultant value would negative. The resultant value is negative, so it won't contribute to the answer. We would be only concerned with the maximum answer. Like suppose if we have the maximum as 100, then minus 2 minus 3 won't affect the answer, na? So the check happens implicitly because if the condition is not true, then the result would be negative, which is not maximum. Absolutely. Absolutely. This is the reason. Okay? Okay, sir, clear. Okay. So chocolate khila dena. Give me a treat. Then I deserve a chocolate. Okay. Chalo. Anyway, I don't think I would waste for the I would wait for the next last 30 seconds. If I receive any doubts, I would still wait. Else I would just turn off the stream. So this is absolutely important, Rishit, as Rishit told. Most welcome, Rishit. जलेबी फाफड़ा चलेगा बिल्कुल चलेगा. Okay, chalo. So that was it from my side. If you have any concern or issues, feel free to ask them in the comment section. And if you're watching this stream in the recorded version or after this live, feel free to comment and like the video so that the reach of this video could be increased. Thank you and have a nice day. By the way, hey Abhinav,